In the wake of the decisive battle at Midway, the Americans had been given the initiative in the Pacific Theatre. With the bulk of the Japanese fleet carriers destroyed and their elite aircrews killed in combat, the IJN no longer had the numerical carrier advantage over the Americans in the Pacific. However, the Americans did not leave Midway unscathed. In December of 1941, the Americans had a total of 5 fleet carriers as opposed to the Japanese 6. However, the Japanese also had a large collection of light carriers. After the Battle of Midway, the Americans only possessed 2 operational fleet carriers, and the Japanese had been brought also down to 2. By July of 1942, USS Wasp was brought over from the Atlantic, and the USS Saratoga had finished refitting, and the Japanese commissioned the mid-sized carriers Junyo and Hiyo, bringing both fleets to an equal number of fleet carriers. However, the Japanese still held an advantage in the total amount of flight decks they had available, the light carrier fleets having been relatively untouched except for the loss of the Shoho in May. In the early years of the Pacific War, the Japanese had invaded Rabaul in New Britain and established a major naval base there. They would later use this base as a jumping off point for the invasion of the Solomon Islands chain. During the Battle of the Coral Sea, the Japanese landed troops at Guadalcanal and Tulagi and established a seaplane base at Tulagi in coordination with the Operation MO, the attempted invasion of Port Moresby. However, following their disastrous defeat at Midway, the IJN was unable to conduct any major offensive operations and cancelled the planned operations into the Fijian Islands and New Caledonia. This gave the Americans some breathing room to begin their planning of their first assault into Japanese territory. The Americans had to act fast in this small window of time while the IJN gathered its strength once more, so the US created an invasion plan, and this plan was the brainchild of the Chief of Staff of the US Navy, Admiral Ernest King. The operation called for the occupation of Santa Cruz Islands, the Florida Islands, and Tulagi. However, when the Americans found out that the Japanese began construction of an airfield on Guadalcanal which, when operational, threatened to cut off supply lines to Australia, Guadalcanal became a top priority. Hello and welcome back, my good students, to our War on the Sea Pacific campaign as the Imperial Japanese Navy. Do not be alarmed, instead be shocked in amazement at that sneak peek of the Guadalcanal documentary that I am narrating, hosted and created by our good friend Zuikaku. A link shall be found in the description of this video to his channel, where the full video shall be released in the next coming weeks. Everything's been put back progressively as all 4 of us working on this documentary have been tied up with real life issues, but that is just a little update from all of us. Hoping that you enjoy the little snippets there of the documentary. More to come, as I say, in the future. Very much looking forward to seeing the whole thing myself. However, we have things to do today in the game, and what we have to do is be very wary around Manila and the Philippines, because we failed to hit an oncoming invasion task force from the Allies with our submarine over here, and that's rather unfortunate. We do have a couple more submarines in Task Force 77 over here. We both have 17 torpedoes available. But will we actually catch anything? Because of course submarines are just that much slower than the task force that we'll see. Will we catch them before perhaps they either reinforce Manila, which is a possibility, not probably our safest and best bet at the moment, not too worried about that, or will they invade Puerto Princesa or even push into Cebu? Now, to add a little flavour, it might have been nice to imagine that we did, of course, try to hit a Renown leading a task force down towards Cebu. We've yet to recite that. Perhaps that was a scouting expedition to see how active we are in this area. Perhaps they are in fact looking at retaking Cebu and reinforcing their very meagre defence over here, which will be taken over the next couple of days or so and destroyed over there. We do have some minor, very minor supplies. Only 1,020 supplies on this force over here. I believe this may have been the group. No, this is the group coming from Iwo Jima. This is more supplies and troops for Cebu over here. We're going to unload the 1,000 supplies onto Davao. Once we're in range, we do still need to get a little closer over there. 25 kilometers away from that is not a problem at all. And we do have engineering and fuel on this task force here for Cebu and Davao if need be. In fact, I think Davao is actually not so bad on the engineering and fuel. It is quite meagre as well, but we do only have a level 1 airfield there. We're just using this to keep the integrity up. We might put some more engineering and fuel onto Puerto Princesa, in the hopes of maybe one day upgrading that to a level 3 airfield. Not entirely sure what we get. If we get anything too direct out of there, we could just brute force our way into a level 3 airfield when we take Brunei. But once again, that's going to take many, many weeks in the future. And having said that, if we have to wait around for just one base over here for that long, it's going to take a long old time to finish this campaign, isn't it? But absolutely fine there, you know. The Pacific wasn't conquered in a day. But so not to worry. We do have a submarine over here once again. And I don't like that at all. I'm trying to select this one. Bessies don't carry depth charges, and neither do Donrus, do they? No, that's absolutely fine. So we'll have to take some Emily's from over here. And we'll launch those off with depth charges as soon as we detach some destroyers once again. Now, which destroyers would probably be best to use? I think Kagero, Makinami, and Shirakumo would be best over here. If we detach those and split those off here. So that's Task Force 131 and move over here. We do have some retreating supply ships over here. And with our Guam defense, we will just move over southerly over here, away from that submarine. Would probably be a good idea there. So let's take these Emilys and attach them to 131 with some depth charges, like so. And that should be right at the bottom of the list. There we go. And hopefully we should be able to get on top of that before we completely lose sight on that. We only have sight over here. For those of you that are new to hear this and this game, we only have sight on this at the moment because I have just loaded into the game. It is a persistent bug, but not to worry. It's one that I will very much take advantage of. You can see there's possibly a submarine over here that might even be a retreating task force, which we did destroy most of, but that was quite a while ago now. In the last major surface engagement over here. You never know, it might just be skulking around still. We can't unfortunately send anything to that at the moment. I don't really want to detach the destroyers from our Fighting Force 2, which is still quite low on our destroyers over there. And we will of course look at actually reinforcing those. I don't believe we have any destroyers coming in to reinforce those just yet. So I shall do that at my own discretion. We are still waiting to get resupplied on day 182, so that would be the 9th of June there. So that's still quite a way off. So once again, at the mercy of what we spot, hopefully we can catch the task force around the Philippines. That is what my goal is for today, and finally get these supplies and engineering stuff onto our Philippines bases over here. So, wish us luck, and I shall see you when that happens. Well, unfortunately, of course, our destroyers did make it to that submarine before our Emilys could make it, but not to worry. Let's just not get too ahead of ourselves and start breaking off already a tad. We are going to go at very, very slow speeds here, but I will just go over 4 knots, because 4 knots is rather slow. It's like we're going over that at the moment. Just decelerating there. You can see our leading Shirakumo is going at 8 knots. Can we see any torpedoes fired out already? Yes, we can. Very decent sea states here actually of 4. Middling. Not ideal for us, but clear enough that we can actually see these torpedoes. Have certainly zigged rather than zagged with the Makinami over here. So we will continue to do so and just get out of the way of those torpedoes. Forget any chance of coming into sonar contact there. I'm just going to slow down here, really tighten up that turn, because we will otherwise catch that outside torpedo here. And there we go. In fact, slowing down our speed has helped us get a sonar contact on here. So we're going to increase our speed now, I think to 10 knots with the Shirakumo. Just make sure, in fact, we stop turning quite so hard here. I think we'll be alright actually to dodge those torpedoes from here. So with the Kagero, we're going to try and move up to actually engage this submarine. We have certainly dodged the torpedoes with Shirakumo over here. And I think we're absolutely fine. Just double checking with our Makinami over here. That is absolutely fine. So with any luck, this is not a hunting pack. But it doesn't appear to be just yet. We've sighted no other torpedoes in the water. But unless they're on our rear, which has happened. Can do. Can certainly do. Let's try and identify this. What do we have? We have another S-class. Interesting. Okay. So, let's go for identifying that. And actually, with that being an S-class, I'm very surprised, even though it is fairly clear the day to day, that we did, in fact, sight that so easily. We're less than a kilometre away from them, but so with the sea state of 4, general visibility of 68%, and of course the pretty much ideal concealment of the S-class there. I'm surprised we got that so easily, but you can't complain. So we are going to just increase our speed to 12 knots over here with the Kagero to catch up on that and get a decent sonar contact maintained on there. And we're going to increase our speed to 12 knots on the Shirakumo to actually catch up with that S-class and drop some lovely depth charges on there. The reason we took these 3 ships in particular is because they are the ships in our task force with the most depth charges available after expending some with our 4th destroyer in that task force previously. So I think we're just going to compress time a little bit here because we are just waiting around. It's just a case of making some minor manoeuvres here. You can see we are in fact catching up with that S-class now. I am going to turn in a little bit and start turning back out and adjusting our course, so we are running directly behind that S-class, making sure our beam is as close to the S-class as possible so that we don't miss too hard with our depth charges, and we should be getting on top of it pretty much now. So we're going to reduce our speed a tad to 9 knots. And we can see we're pretty much on top of it. It does not have the greatest of depths there at all, and it's cavitating a lot actually, which is really helping us out. Just going to turn a tad here and get ready with our depth charges. Come down with the speed there. I'm just going to really slow down with our Kagero there, and we are now going to fire off some depth charges. In fact, I think we'll give it a little bit more lead. Let our stern approach the bow of the submarine there a little more. Doesn't appear to be slowing down. You can see the cavitation really frothing there at the rear of that ship, but we are now going to fire. And I think there's no need to go quite so fast on that. I will go down to 4 knots there. It's quite a nice spread on our depth charges as well. Getting some very, very near hits there. In fact, that might have stopped their propellers and rudder there. The cavitation instantly stopping. You can see they are dead in the water there. Look at that. So, quite likely some good flooding on there. Let's slow down once again. In fact, it is sinking immediately, which is excellent. Everybody wave bye-bye. Look at that. It's not every day you get to see an S-class sunk so easily, but that is the is a risk they take. They do have some very, very short-range torpedoes there, but they weren't successful today, and that is very, very nice indeed. So that means we can send these Emilys straight back home, and we can once again reattach these destroyers over here to our Guam Defence Task Force. Well, I was wondering when this submarine might actually have some profit in it and find a catch. We are outside the Gilbert Islands here today. We sent this submarine off, it feels like months and months ago, and we finally found some source of battle force here. What do we have? A host of destroyers in the leading positions here, guarding a Brooklyn and I believe 2 Clevelands, and that does appear to be the case. So what are we going to go for? We're going to go for the outside Cleveland here so that our torpedoes don't have to travel through anything too difficult there. We are going to slow down to a halt and just wait for the enemy to come on top of us. In fact, we're going to reverse a tad. You can see the trajectory over here. Let's use the marker. Just go straight along. They'll be right on top of us. And that's not a position I want them to be in exactly. So not to worry. Let's mark that up though as a Cleveland. Let's see. There we go. Lovely, lovely, lovely. And we will send 4 torpedoes out towards that. We'll start with a 1 degree spread and see how things change. You can see actually the lead there is not looking too bad. In fact, it's getting wider. That's probably because we're reversing, but not to worry. What is the distance? We are 8 kilometers away from that. So we're going to just quickly downscope, go to 20 meters below, because there's a very small chance that there's aircraft about. They might have some scouts flying around that we haven't noticed yet. And with the sea state of 4, 20 meters should be enough to conceal us. Then we'll pop up at periscope depth later on when we are at a more opportune angle there. And in fact, we are going to completely sit still now at 0 knots. Okay, so we're looking like we're at a decent position now. We are going to go to periscope depth and have a look at hitting that Cleveland. I'm just looking at exactly what we have over here. Very, very nice looking British destroyer here. It's a very nice triple torpedo design actually on these British destroyers. Very, very nice indeed. But I think we're looking okay to hit this. Our lead is 26 degrees. Let's just change our perspective here and use the scope. Yeah, that's not looking too bad at all really. I am wondering about trying to get a more perpendicular angle still, even though the lead is not looking too bad. I think in fact what we'll do is launch 5 torpedoes at a 2 degree spread there, just to help us out, and we will fire out now before we lose the opportunity and to give us some time to retreat once those have all gone out. There we go. Let's dive down immediately to 70 meters below. Silent running please. And we will just increase our speed to very healthy 5 knots and try and go to their rear. And once that's hit, we will slow down our engines, reduce the cavitation and try and turn away. Well, that Cleveland did certainly sink, and it's still keeping quite the speed on it after confirmation it was sinking. Never thought it would stop, to be honest. Let's double check. I don't think we've sunk any Clevelands prior to that. We've sunk a couple, but nowhere near destroying all of them, as you might expect. Loads and loads of Clevelands were certainly produced during the war period. But this was just over here, just south of Pompeii and Cosrai, so fairly close to Truk. That's not too bad at all, really. Quite a nice catch indeed. I am wondering what we're being scouted out by, though. It does make me think there is some sort of task force over here. I don't think they send out catapults scouts from Cavian, to be honest. So let's carry on and see if we can spot that in kind. Well, do you remember me saying that we weren't able to respot that Renown task force? Well, it's shadowing our Akagi and Hiryu. You can see it is still keeping that very, very nasty list there. It is certainly retreating, and I think, to be honest, we'll let it retreat. There's no need to engage that, although it is... I'll show you the map right now, actually, because there's not much to do here. So you can see that's just south of Okinawa and Iwo Jima. So, in fact, we were hunting a separate task force over here. What we could do is try and hit that with our Musashi task force on the retreat there. We have certainly done a lot of damage to that renown, so it shouldn't take too many direct shell hits to sink that if we do manage to hunt that down safely. We'll get rid of this marker. That was for something else, which does appear to have disappeared, unfortunately. So fingers crossed we can get that on the retreat, actually. That'd be a very, very nice little engagement there indeed. Well, we've picked up something with the Musashi task force, and both is and isn't what we're expecting. It's not the renowned task force we were expecting, but it is the previous battleship task force we were hunting down, and it is led by a Tennessee, and that is excellent. So let's get our guns aimed on that. We do need to target it, of course. So this should be the second. Yeah, we've sunk the Tennessee. This is the California specifically. Let's get our guns trained on that, shall we? We'll get holding fire for the minute, and we'll spot with our secondaries. If they are in range, we are 19.7 kilometers away. I will just double check. Range, yeah, 27.4 kilometers with our secondaries, or at least our 155 millimeters. That's not so bad at all there. We can certainly spot. We have launched a Jake, and we do have a Pete about as well. I would have launched some attack aircraft. We do, of course, have the Ryujo here. If I thought it was this particular task force to begin with, but not to worry. There's no such kill like overkill, is there? So we'll train our guns with the Congo on there as well, and start to trying to spot out with our secondaries. We'll leave it with our heavy cruisers at the moment. I'm not going to do a hell of a lot there. We'll, I think, get our heavy cruisers on the Omaha. So we do also have, what do we have? A Benson or Gleaves over here, an Omaha over here, and I believe a Jervis escorting there. I could have sworn there were more ships in this formation, but not to worry there. How are we looking here? Do we have our guns pretty much lined up here? You can see they are still turning towards this ship here, and the Tennessee does appear to be maneuvering into us there, which is excellent. That's very, very nice indeed. Are we pretty much in line with our guns there? Yes, we are. Let's try and start moving, shall we? Because they have opened up. We will increase our speed for now. And there we go. So, let's get some sort of manual fire out once again. So, 13 knots. No turn just yet. Quite a long distance there. But we'll give it some sort of leading fire there for now. Give that some time. And we'll launch out with the Conga here. That is now turning, unfortunately. Just a tad. Not to worry. So we're going to, of course, spot and target this Omaha with our heavy cruisers here. If we spot out there and go for light cruiser Omaha, lovely stuff. Let's just, what else do we have over here? The Kumano, I believe it is. Spot to begin with. Do we have any other heavy cruisers? I don't believe we did we? So that's not to worry there. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I just thought we had a Tonne in this task force at one point. Can't complain. Oh, just seen the shells land here. You can see some smoke coming out from the structure here. Did we just hit that with our Musashi? Possibly. Yes, that's the Congo's shells travelling there. Lovely. If that's a hit on the engine room already, we're going to have to launch some smoke, actually. You can see how close those shots were to us. If we're holding the advantage with our own fire out at the moment, smoke isn't going to hurt us too much there, is it? So 30 knots once again. We'll aim down a tad here, more southerly there. to account for any turn and any straddling once again. That is increasing its speed a minor amount there. Let's increase our lead a tad. Hold out there, hold with Musashi. Should be okay, really. And I am just going to leave the fire on the Omaha to automatic at the moment. My prize for today is just this battleship, and then we'll decide what we want to do afterwards. Very nice hit on the funnel there again, if I may say so myself. And if that persists, that will be dead in the water fairly soon. Wondering about the number 2 gun here, actually. That doesn't appear to be aligned correctly. That was a very nice round hit there, actually. Can't have put that out of action already. These are minor damage, of course. So, Musashi, once again, give them the 460mm salute. It's very nice secondary hits there as well, actually. That is still going a fair lick there at 15 knots. That's pretty decent for a big, hefty battleship like this. Not entirely sure about that aim now, though. Let's aim up roughly here. And hold there with Musashi. Give that some time with our Congo here. And realign, get a rhythm going, I think. We'll aim out here. So, with the Takao, how we look, we do have a decent solution here, to be honest. So we can just let that go out for automatic pretty decently, even with the smoke cover there. It's not looking too bad at all. So how are we looking, really? Just watching, really. Led a little too much there with those Musashi shots, but not to worry, not to worry. How are we looking with the Congos? I think that might even be even worse. We did give that a little bit more lead on the second volley there. Yeah, there we go. Did get a glancing hit onto the front of the ship there. And what we're going to do is, in fact, bring our Jake out a tad. And we're going to get the Pete to circle round clockwise there. Because they will get shot down eventually if they do hang around too long in this AA fire. The Tennessee is now laying smoke, which is a good sign for us, because it means they're giving up. But we can't let that happen just yet, unfortunately. Let's fire out here with the Musashi once again. Now, for those that might want to try learning something from me, I can't give you any pointers, unfortunately, on the manual fire. This is largely estimated guesswork. Educated guesswork is the word I'm looking for there. What we're going to do is look at the Omaha now. We're going to just hold here. We're just about to fire over here. That's going at 22 knots. So we give that an even greater lead there and hold there and just fire out once again. Looks like we just about straddled that with our Musashi. How about the Congo? We should see some large shells coming in fairly soon. Unless that was, of course, the Congos. I guess that those were secondaries there, actually. We're still getting some minor hits in. That should cause some sort of fires onto that ship there. How are we looking with our angle? We're still able to fire with all of our guns. Tennessee is, in fact, retreating there. So, it is also going to a slower speed, so that will make things even easier there. Let's fire out like that. And with the Kirishima, let's come over here. So, Takanami is taking fire. We'll have to have a look at that. Where are we? Interesting that they're focusing a destroyer like this, and in fact that's very close to removing our magazine there. What we're going to do then is focus on, guessing this destroyer out really. It's brake formation, top speed, and really just head up the formation, take a very, very wide turn out there. How are we looking over here? Yeah, we've completely stopped this in the water, just getting some glancing shots onto the rear of the ship. I am focusing on this quite a bit, but if we can get this down, like I say, we'll think about removing this task force entirely. And in fact, this is going at 1 knot now, so we can just fire out like this and keep that steady there, I think. And focus really on this Omaha now. If we go to Takao over here, if we hold out once again and we go to Kumano, I will hold out there, wait for our guns to reload, See what we can do about a manual shot on there. Of course, the guns on this battleship will still stay active until it is completely sunk or a magazine does explode. So, with the Omaha in sight now, that is going at a 25 knot speed. Let's give that quite the lead then and fire off some narrow shots after that. Let's go to the Takao over here and manually fire off there. Excellent stuff. If anyone does have any tips on increasing your abilities with the manual fire, please do not keep them to yourselves and share them in the comments section below. For mine and everyone else's sake there, I'm sure we will all very much appreciate it. There's only so much I can tell you myself. We're only just learning this in this series, to be honest. I'm sure everyone would appreciate some help there. So let's fire out on this Omaha once again. We are going to have to come back around to that to see how close our shots are. I could just see some splashes there. So that indicates we're getting fairly close with our lead. Just need to watch out. It does appear to have some minor turn to it there. How are we going with this Tennessee? Do we need to readjust our aim on that? I think we probably do. It is going at a slightly faster speed now, actually. It appears to have recovered some engine power. Yeah, you can see we are still straddling it. It is rather unlucky there, to be honest. Okay, so the Tennessee has now finally sunk. We are struggling a bit this Omaha with our shots, just missing a little too much there and taking some light damage on our Kumano in return there. Shouldn't be anything too much as long as we get on top of this fairly quickly. We are now changing our targeting with our battleships onto the Omaha, of course. Let's try and look at our aim here. We're getting very, very close. We do have a very much closer distance now. We've closed around 10 kilometers here. It is turning a tad now, as you can see on the map there. So just try and get a little closer. Reduce our lead is, I think, the what we need to do here. Let's get on top of that. Just keep an eye out, see what we're doing there. And then we'll look to see with our battleships, just getting their guns turned around. I believe so at the moment. That's not looking so bad. We're getting fairly close. So once again, just a little less lead. Overcompensating for the shell travel time is what's happening here. And our destroyer has taken less shots now, which is excellent. That should survive, but we will need to send that back to rest and repair. We will now send out the Musashi to fire out some AP there. And I think we will send out the Kirishima in just a second. I want to see how our shots are landing here, really. It's not so bad. Once again, need to just reduce our lead. But some Musashi shells straight through the nose of this ship should send us under, really. Very, very quickly indeed. We are reducing its speed, which means we're getting very decent hits in on the engine room at least. Let's come over here. Just make the damage on the Kumano a little more visual for you. We're on top of things now. We've taken a little bit of structural damage around our centre here. You can see our bridge has taken some damage. Our funnel's taken a bit of damage. We did take some minor fire and flooding on our propeller over here as well, but nothing too much to worry about. In fact, the Sugamo has now taken some damage. Let's come off over here and source out this fire. We really should start turning, to be honest. Like so. We will remove the Omaha and then I think disengage, to be honest. No need to really sink everything here. And we don't really like protracted engagements, to be honest. To be honest with you. Not ideal for anyone there. So let's get out with the Kumano once again. Just change the fire there. And Kishma is what we need to start firing with really as well. Very, very close with the Masashi shells there. Let's get on top of that then. And fire out once again with Takao. Like so. And it shouldn't take too much more there. Just watching the front turrets here. I'm wondering the dual mount here is certainly out of action. We'll see about the very, very nice hits on the bow there indeed. Would love to penetrate that magazine. Just that little bit harder, of course. I think we can start leaving our mangled shots now to a more solid position there. Kumano over here as well. How are we looking? Yeah, that's pretty much dead in the water there. I think we were right to just aim for the nose there. And our shots should penetrate straight through. And it is in fact sinking as we say that. So we are going to disengage here and now. Turn around, get our smoke down and get out there. Our destroyers of course can't do too much to us, but we'll let them go off and make sure our destroyers don't take too much more damage in return. So, very, very nice engagement there indeed. I will just address, of course, the apparently heavy damage on Kirishima. That's not from this engagement. That is accumulated damage from previous engagements, but after reviewing the structural integrity, it's just the fact that pretty much every component has been hit, but they are still at an average of 90% integrity. So nothing really too bad there. It's just, again, every component pretty much has been hit to some degree, but the integrity of them is still rather high. So the Kirishima is still very much serviceable. It is the Asugumo that we're going to have to send back because the front magazine has been put out of action, unfortunately. So that's going to have to go back very soon indeed. So 6 command points gained, the last Tennessee is down, and an Omaha has been sunk, which is very, very nice indeed. Let's get the Sugmo back home if we split over here. And just come like so. You can see we still have this massive queue for supplies. We're going to be depleted as soon as we get any sort of resupply here. Once again, but that's rather unfortunate to be honest. In fact, what we could do, what do we have over here? Let's see, invasion support. It's the massive resupply we need to do here. To be honest, nothing's really damaged here. And it's been out of action for so long. What would have been smarter, in fact, is to rest and repair everything. Very little trick here. We'll just snap on over to that. Now that we are in range, this should take a minimum 4 days at least, I think, and pretty much a maximum of that. I am willing to make sure these are inactive for the benefit of saving some resources. The thing about rest and repair is doesn't actually take any supplies at all. In fact, I might just be about to be proved wrong, but I believe that's the case. Yeah, that doesn't take any supplies at all. We didn't have these supplies on here whatsoever to rearm that entire battle group. So let's just double check the dockyard. Yeah, 5 days for the Kokoryu Maru, but that's something very separate. The magazine was actually damaged there. So 3 days for that whole task force to be rearmed. It's been inactive for longer than that anyway. So we can certainly wait 3 more days for that if it means that we're not going to reduce our supplies and such any more once we do get the income there. So that's very favourable to us, and that's actually something we need to think about. And in fact, I think we might have to try the same, where are we, with our carriers over here. if we release those to rest and repair, that might still be a little bit more time out of action there. But to be honest, if it means we're not using so many supplies, I think that's probably the best option there, to be honest. A little bit of a workaround, but not to worry there at all. So I think that will be it for today, everyone. I hope you have enjoyed the video. I know it's not so active as previously, but that is unfortunately all we have time for today. So once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching as ever. I'm glad to see so many of you are sticking around for this extensively long series. But I shall see you in the future. I hope all of your nights and days are auspicious. Goodbye.